In the build-up to the Bears' highly anticipated clash with the Eagles, a wave of unexpected news sent shockwaves through both fan bases. What began as a quiet lead-up to Friday's matchup erupted into major headlines when a veteran defender let something slip, something that instantly changed the tone of the entire week. According to multiple whispers around the locker room, and a not-so-subtle comment from a well-connected defensive leader, it appears that cornerback Jaylon Johnson is on track to be active for the upcoming game. Though nothing has been officially confirmed by team personnel, players often sense these developments long before the public does, and this one came with real conviction. For Bears fans, this is more than just a routine injury update. Johnson's presence isn't merely helpful, it fundamentally reshapes how Chicago can defend one of the most explosive offenses in football. Facing an Eagles squad loaded with playmakers, especially in the passing game, the Bears desperately need every ounce of shutdown coverage they can muster. Johnson brings leadership, physicality, and a knack for turning tight coverage into turnovers. If he's truly back, even in a limited role, the Bears' defensive ceiling rises significantly. But Johnson wasn't the only storyline jolting the fanbase. On the offensive side, another major clue dropped when offensive coordinator Ben Johnson hinted that Ozzy Trapilo may be sliding back into the starting role at left tackle. The move seemed likely after practice rotations earlier in the week, but hearing it alluded to so directly created a whole new wave of speculation. Trapilo has been viewed as a rising talent, raw at times, but powerful, athletic, and increasingly trusted in high-pressure situations. In contrast, Theo, his primary competition, offers steadiness and technique, though perhaps with a slightly lower upside. The left tackle position becomes even more crucial considering who the Bears are facing. The Eagles boast one of the league's most relentless defensive fronts, a group built to create chaos and punish even minor missteps. Whoever lines up on the blind side will carry an enormous responsibility, protecting the pocket against a defense that rarely takes a snap off. If Trapilo is indeed getting the nod, it signals confidence from the coaching staff and perhaps an acknowledgement that his higher ceiling is worth the risk on a stage this big. All of these revelations come at a moment when Chicago's season teeters on a delicate balance. Momentum is fragile. One injury can destabilize a game plan. One returning player can fortify an entire unit. And one positional decision, especially at a premium position like left tackle, can define the rhythm of an offense from the first snap to the last. But the excitement is equally matched with concern, because the injury report leading up to this matchup has been nothing short of alarming. While the Bears may be getting reinforcements in certain areas, they are rapidly losing depth in others, particularly at linebacker and on the defensive line. Before diving into those details, it's important to recognize just how quickly narratives can shift in the NFL. One moment the Bears appear short-handed, the next, a key defender may return. One moment the offensive line seems unsettled, the next, a promising young tackle may reclaim his spot. Still, the truth is that Chicago enters this game battered. And the full weight of that reality becomes clearer when examining the official injury report, a list that paints a picture of a team fighting to stay upright while preparing for one of its toughest challenges of the season. As the final injury report dropped, it immediately became clear that the Bears were heading into Friday's showdown with far more questions than answers. The list wasn't just long, it was packed with names the team can't easily replace. Nearly every level of the defense, along with critical depth pieces on offense, took hits throughout the week. The most concerning section? Linebacker, without question. T.J. Edwards, one of the anchors of the group, didn't practice a single day during the entire week. In a matchup where the Eagles are expected to test the middle of the field and rely heavily on their physical run game, missing Edwards is not just inconvenient, it's potentially game-altering. His instincts, ability to diagnose plays pre-snap, and range from sideline to sideline are elements Chicago simply doesn't have an equivalent backup for. Next came the troubling update on Ruben Hippoly, who also remained sidelined throughout the week. Losing two linebackers at the same time is difficult. Losing them against an opponent that loves to force defenses into hesitation is even worse. Every absence at linebacker magnifies the pressure on the front line and the secondary, especially when the opponent thrives on exploiting mismatches and creating confusion. Then there's the offensive line situation. Luke Newman, who stepped in admirably after Jonah Jackson's injury against the Steelers, was unable to practice due to an eye injury. Eyes are particularly tricky. One wrong movement or flare-up can instantly remove a player from consideration. Newman's absence not only tests the Bears' depth but further intensifies the spotlight on the left tackle decision. If Trapilo does start, he may have to do so without the continuity that comes from a fully healthy line around him. On the defensive front, things grew even more concerning with the update on Gervon Dexter Sr. A powerful interior disruptor and one of Chicago's most promising young pieces, Dexter's situation remains worrisome. Interior pressure is one of the few consistent ways to throw the Eagles' offense out of rhythm. Without it, Philadelphia may find easier lanes in both the run and pass game. Then came one of the scariest and most emotional parts of the update. Dominique Robinson was ruled out due to a concussion. Anytime a concussion is involved, the conversation changes. It's not about football anymore, it's about long-term health. The Bears made it clear they're prioritizing his recovery, and fans echoed those sentiments immediately. Robinson will miss the game, and rightfully so, as he focuses on healing from an injury that should always be treated with the utmost seriousness. The injury list continued to grow with Noah Sue, who also did not practice all week. Linebacker depth, already strained, took yet another hit with his absence. With so many defenders out, the Bears may find themselves leaning heavily on backups, rookies, and players who are not expected to handle such significant roles at this point in the season. And just when it seemed the list couldn't get any longer, another blow landed. Tyreek Stevenson, one of the most important young defenders on the roster, was listed as doubtful. His physical style, aggressive mindset, and ability to match up with larger receivers make him one of Chicago's most valuable secondary pieces. Pair that with the uncertainty surrounding the Eagles' powerful receiving core, and his likely absence becomes an even tougher pill to swallow. While Jaylon Johnson's likely return offers hope, the secondary is still stretched thin. Depth matters against the Eagles, because they don't simply test your top corner, they force you to defend every inch of the field. Before we push deeper into how these injuries reshape Friday's showdown, take a quick second to support the work that brings you these in-depth breakdowns. If you're enjoying this analysis and want more game-changing updates, weekly previews, and detailed film insights, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a like. It helps the channel grow and lets us keep delivering the content you rely on. Now, let's jump back into the action. *** With all these developments stacked together, the potential return of a star cornerback, the shifting dynamics at left tackle, and a wave of injuries across both defense and offense, the Bears' strategy for Friday becomes both more complicated and more intriguing. If Jaylon Johnson truly suits up, his impact will be immediate. He's their shadow corner, the guy you trust to make life difficult for elite receivers. His discipline in press coverage, his ability to disrupt timing, and his presence as a communicator in the secondary could be the difference between long Eagles drives and crucial third-down stops. Even if he's not at full capacity, his leadership alone elevates the defense. However, Johnson's potential return doesn't erase the linebacker concerns. With multiple starters sidelined, the Bears may be forced to rely on younger players or unexpected contributors to hold down key responsibilities. Philadelphia's offense thrives on manipulating linebacker hesitation, through RPOs, option plays, and layered pass concepts. If Chicago's replacements struggle to diagnose plays quickly, the Eagles will capitalize. On the offensive line, Trapilo stepping into the left tackle role becomes one of the biggest X factors of the entire game. If he rises to the moment, showing poise, strength, and smart hand usage, the Bears can maintain rhythm, execute the run game, and keep the pressure off the quarterback. If he struggles, the entire offensive structure could become unstable. Pressure from the blind side changes everything: timing, confidence, play calling, and the ability to sustain drives. And then there's the emotional factor. A locker room dealing with this many injuries must lean on resilience, leadership, and the sense that every player must elevate their game. When you're undermanned, execution becomes even more important. Mistakes hurt more. Missed opportunities sting deeper. But teams that rise to these moments often discover their most defining traits in adversity. Despite the challenges, the Bears still have clear paths to success. If Johnson's return stabilizes the secondary, if Trapilo solidifies the left side, and if backups at linebacker can play disciplined, assignment-sound football, Chicago can absolutely make this game competitive, even against a powerhouse like the Eagles. The stage is set. The stakes are high. And the Bears, battered but unbroken, are preparing to walk into Friday's matchup knowing that every snap could shift the outcome. Whether it's the defense stepping up without key linebackers, the offensive line redefining itself, or a returning star igniting the secondary, one thing is certain: this game is shaping up to be far more dramatic than anyone expected just a week ago.